All right, what's up, guys? Welcome. It is Thursday, and it's time for a Q&A session about sexual kung fu, about sexual mastery, really whatever. We often go all over the place with these Q&A sessions. And again, if this is your first time joining, this is just kind of a hangout. I answer questions people send in, talk about whatever. And just kind of every Thursday, I go live and we hang out and do Q&A session, basically, right? So I'm Johnathan White. I'm here to help you master your sexual energy so you can manifest your ideal life. First of all, I want to share with you guys a cool technique. I shared this on my Instagram yesterday, but I've been developing some new kind of sexual energy techniques. I've been playing with a lot of stuff, and I'll be sharing some more of these soon. But one thing I've been working with a lot is sound. Sound is a powerful way to vibrate your energy, create a circulation of energy, but you can specifically use this to control your arousal and to amplify pleasure states. So for men, obviously, a lot of ejaculation control and being able to experience non-ejaculatory orgasms is being able to disperse that orgasmic buildup upwards in the body so that it doesn't just shoot out of the genitals and you release it into peak orgasm. So it's really about, I'm always talking about bringing this sexual charge upwards in the body, creating more space in the body to handle greater levels of desire, greater levels of arousal without overheating, without ejaculating, right? So sound is a super simple way to do this. And it's really primal in a lot of ways. So basically, the simple of the simple is you make some sounds during sexual stimulation, whether you're by yourself or with a partner, but kind of like a deep, like sound. Feel it vibrate. You can experiment with different tones, but feel it vibrate like your belly and your genital space. And notice how, as your arousal increases, and you feel that pressure in your genitals as you are making the sound, you take a deep breath, right? Deep belly breathing, and use that sound, that kind of, you can even make more of a guttural sound. And notice how this actually releases some of that excess tension that can lead to ejaculation, right? So as you're having sex or as you're self-pleasuring, experiment with that and use the sound to, as you exhale, disperse some of this intense arousal buildup upwards in your body. So you can play with that. It's a great technique, though. It's really helping me go to some interesting spaces. All right, guys. So I'm gonna answer some questions now. Okay. Okay, Matthew, you said, what would you advise to me? I don't see any other questions, so maybe you sent the question and it is not up or something. So whatever your question is, type it back in. Okay, this next question. I have an energetic block in my neck. It feels like I can't move my energy freely. How to dissolve that block? So energy blockages. This is a common questions, right? So this goes for really any pattern of energetic blockage. There's some sort of contraction. If you have like this chronic pattern of tension in your body, there's also a blockage in your energetic field. Likewise, a blockage in your energetic field manifests as tension in your body. Oftentimes, like if you have an area of your body that's always tight, always like knotted, there can be a block here. And sometimes it's in the immediate space where that blockage is. So the blockage in your neck, let's say it's like right here. It may be right here in the space, but it can also be out here kind of in your energetic field, right? Kind of your mental, emotional bodies out here more, right? But basically working with blockages, it's really what, there's a lot of systems to address this. Having a Qigong practice is really the most practical way to work with it, because you're systematically increasing the flow of Qi through your body. And over time, that will start to dissolve blockages, as well as several meditation practices. But specifically, a practice I like to use is simply, sit or stand, use a standing Qigong position and really absorb your mind into that area of your body. And you don't want to like try to use force. If you try to like force a blockage to clear, you're usually just going to create more tension. When you have too strong of intention, it creates more tension, as a counter response. So just feel that tightness, that blockage, just kind of feel it, absorb your mind into it. It's like the liquid of your mind absorbs into that area like a sponge, and you start to fill that area with your awareness. Just really feel into it. What does it feel like? You'll often notice that these tight spaces feel like ice cubes. And by holding your mind there, it's like you're holding your hands around an ice cube, and it often starts to kind of melt. So just hold your awareness there, just kind of relax your body, smile into it, really have no intention of even releasing it, just feel it. And as you exhale, feel like all the tissues are just relaxing, expanding, dissolving. And And so again, we have this metaphor of it's like an ice cube, and by wrapping the awareness of your mind around it, starts to melt into ice and dissolve into steam eventually. So it's kind of a simple method to start working with that. Obviously, again, I recommend practicing like with the Qigong system, because that will help to systematically dissolve blockages. Oops. Okay, so let's see what other questions we have here. Okay, next question is 24 a good age to retain semen, or is it too late? Okay, so that's the first part. It's never too late to start practicing semen retention. In fact, the older you get, the more important it becomes, because when you're in your teenage years, in your early 20s, you have an abundance of vitality, so you can usually get away with ejaculating a bit more. But as you reach your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, often most people have spent so much energy that it's really, really difficult to, an ejaculation costs you a lot more when you're older, basically. So it becomes more and more important to retain your semen as you age. But no, 24 is definitely not too late. That's actually around the age when I started. I think I was 23 or 24, and I had amazing benefits from it. Really regained the vitality and the energy of my teenage years and my youth. So no, it's definitely not too late. You be in your 50s, your 60s, your 70s and start semen retention and get benefits from it. Okay, then the second question was, okay, what benefits did I experience with semen retention? And did I experience benefits such as aura expansion and magnetism? Yeah, I mean, tons of benefits. I'm always talking about, the benefits of semen retention: more energy, higher testosterone levels, more focus, more clarity, more drive in my life, more confidence, more creative energy. But it's also, I don't recommend semen retention as a standalone practice. I recommend semen retention as part of a system, right? Like sexual kung fu, semen retention is just one part of the whole system, which involves mind-body training, energy circulation, meditation. So you're managing your energy, and as you're adding this sexual energy to it by practicing semen retention, because if you practice semen retention without being able to transmute that energy, you can have imbalances. Do inversions help with sexual transmutation? I want to hear your thoughts on inversions. It's kind of a superficial thought that if you reverse the position of your body, magically your sexual energy is going to flow the other way. In my experience, it's not really the case. There's tons of benefits to inversions, but as far as transmuting sexual energy, it's not going to do it for you. You need a direct practice where you're consciously circulating the energy upwards in the body. Testicle breathing, microcosmic orbit. You need to have that mind-body skill, because it physically doesn't matter what you're doing. It's for the energy to flow, you need a direct energetic practice. So a simple physical practice isn't necessarily going to do anything for you. But there's tons of benefits to inversions. I do them every day, but it's not going to transmute your sexual energy for you. Okay, liar, you signed up for Immortal Energy Arts, which is my online energy cultivation school. You should get an email with your access as soon as you purchase it. So if you don't, check your spam. If it's not there, let me know and I'll get you hooked up with it for sure. But yeah, you should definitely get access right away. Is using escorts bad? Okay, so like prostitutes, paying someone to have sex with them. I mean, in my opinion, nothing's inherently bad or good. Whatever works for you, it's fine. I have no judgments about, your personal choices. But again, it comes down to the question of what's happening during a sexual encounter. You're bonding to that person very, very deeply. You're connecting your karma together. You're intertwining your energy together. You're taking on their patterns. You're giving them your patterns. You're absorbing their ancestral patterns. Sex is a very, very deep energetic exchange. And so there's a certain karmic, unfoldment that happens with the sexual connection. So just be aware of that. And it's like, is the person you're having sex with someone that you want to become, basically? Because that's what starts to happen. You absorb their patterns. So, if you're having sex with random people and they're not necessarily people you vibe with, it can cause some issues for you. And it's not really a question of morality for me. It's just like, is this the kind of work you want to put upon yourself? And if you do, that's fine. But just having that understanding of it, you can decide for yourself whether it's good or bad for you. Okay, this next question, Matthew. Do you think that Qigong helps building the lower Dantian itself? Most of your practices have a moment of meditation on lower Dantian, the second chakra. The Dantian and the second chakra are separate things. The Dantian kind of connects to all the lower chakras, but it's not a chakra in itself. It's a different thing. It depends what type of Qigong you're doing. Not all Qigong forms necessarily work with the Dantian, even though really building the Dantian is a very important part of having a successful Qigong practice, because modern Qigong is kind of removed from its original internal energy arts. Some of the finer points of developing internal arts. A lot of modern Qigong is mostly just waving your arms around, mobilizing your tissues and your blood, which is great, but doesn't actually penetrate to the deep levels of Qi, right? But if you're following my routines, you're getting the deeper Qi activation. You feel it tangibly. That's how you know you're doing it, right? Not all forms will be building the lower Dantian. A lot of the forms kind of rely on having a Dantian in the first place. So if you want to build your lower Dantian, use the Dantian building practice specifically. I made a video on this on YouTube. That's the best way to build the lower Dantian, because it's difficult it requires a level of stillness for the Jing to settle in the body, your physical essence, this Jing energy, which is tending to rise up in our bodies as we're overly distracted. We're on our phones, we're moving around, we're doing things. It's difficult to settle the Jing when you're busy. And if you're in a Qigong movement, you usually, in the beginning stages, aren't going to be able to get that settling, which is required, because you need to build, first of all, this yin magnetic field down here, which kind of becomes the container for the yang qi to fill up. And then you have your lower Dantian established. So doing that really requires very meditative stillness practices. So if you want to build your lower Dantian, do the Dantian building practice. You can do Qigong on top of that, that's fine, but don't mistake, two different practices you're doing, basically. When is the next course? I'm on day 67, Semen Retention and ready. I believe the next course is going to be in April. Make sure you're on my email list, which you'll be on if you've taken my free ejaculation control course, and you will be the first to know when that opens. Is 8 brocades of Qigong a good practice to start with Qigong? Yeah, it's a solid practice. It's a bit more physical oriented, like it opens up the tissues of the body. It's kind of stretching, but that is kind of the first stages of Qi deployment, right? So it's a solid first practice. It's one of the first things I learned. Okay, struggling with porn and masturbation addiction, the best first steps to move in a more beneficial direction. Check out my YouTube channel. I have playlists on porn addiction specifically, right? But basically, okay, when you want to remove a pattern from your life, you have to start changing your patterns. You have to create something new to put your time into, because if you're just like, okay, I want to quit porn, quit masturbation, and you just kind of leave the space throughout your day, the space in your life, what are you going to fill that with now, right? You've just created a void. And if you have nothing new to replace it with, you're going to go back into those old habits, because you're like, oh, well, now I'm bored. I guess I'll just, look at porn again. So make an action plan for yourself. Okay, you want to stop porn and masturbation. These are things that you don't want to do. So what do you want to do? What things do you want to occupy your mind, your time, your space, your energy spent into? Start to create an action plan for yourself. Instead of watching porn and jerking off to Pornhub, I'm going to go to the gym, work out at home, if you can't go to the gym, or I'm going to do a yoga class. I'm going to practice Qigong. I'm going to learn a musical instrument, things like this, right? So create new things to put your time and energy into, things that get you high naturally, spending time in nature, practicing Qigong, developing your energy, building your Qi. And this will be really helpful for you. Can sexual Kung Fu help with spirituality? Definitely, because this was a major thing for me. It was like I was going through my spiritual awakening, had my Kundalini awakening, and it was like I was starting to practice meditation, yoga, felt like I was on the spiritual path, but like on a sexual level, I was still addicted to porn. I was still masturbating to porn. So it's kind of like, okay, over here, I'm kind of like on the spiritual path, but at the same time, I'm kind of back down here in the mud with these very base level sexual experiences, which are kind of pulling this energy out of me and depleting me. And I was struggling with that. And so studying sexual Kung Fu, this is really what brought me into it, was how do I integrate my sexual energy into my spiritual path? That was the big question for me. And learning these practices taught me exactly how to do that, because you start to create this upward flow with your sexual energy. So you no longer experience sex and sexual desire simply as trying to hump something and ejaculate everything out. And that's your whole experience of sex. It becomes more about this uprising level of energy. You start to integrate your sexual desire with the higher centers of your body. You bring it up into your heart, raising the frequency of that energy into love, into connection, into desire, into this drive to connect. You raise it up into your crown, amplifying, turning that sexual energy, that desire to amplify, to connect, to bond. You turn that into your spiritual drive to connect and bond and amplify, your connection to the universe. So that's how sexual kung fu helps with spirituality. And it goes, we go way deeper into like Taoist internal alchemical practices where you're refining that sexual energy, turning it to something more nourishing to your spiritual nature, right? Okay, Liar, you found the email. Yeah, so yeah, glad you found it. And looking forward to having you in the Immortal Energy Arts group. You're going to love it. Can sexual energy be felt by someone who is a long distance away, or is it only felt once you are within the person's magnetic field? Distance and separation is an illusion. We are all connected, very, very intimately to the farthest stars in the galaxy. This is kind of what quantum physics shows, that once particles are connected, they do these experiments where they took, I think atomic particles, right, that were bonded together, they remove them and move them into like opposite ends of the world. And what happens to one particle is reflected in the other. And what this shows is that everything in the universe is intertwined. So the moment, it's like if you've ever had this experience where you think about someone and then they text you or they call you, or you're going to call someone and they're already calling you, things like this. When you think of someone, you're connecting with that person. And so, yes, someone's sexual energy can be felt from a very long distance away. Maybe you have a random sexual dream about someone who you haven't thought about in years. Maybe it was them thinking about you, right? And this is where you have to be careful about fantasy, projecting your sexual energy onto others. You're creating karmic imprints. So we are all connected, The world is much more than this physical reality. Okay, this question. If one keeps the tongue to the palate continually through the day, can they passively conduct the microcosmic orbit? Basically, yes. I naturally have my tongue against the roof of my mouth all day now because of my, in Qigong and meditation. So the idea is the microcosmic orbit, the back channel, the front channel, the Du and the Renmai, they connect through placing the tip of the tongue against the roof of the mouth. It opens up the circuit. And so because I did it so much during my practice, it started to become a habit to me. It's just naturally where I place my tongue now. And overall, yes, it helps to conduct that microcosmic orbit. You still want to do your microcosmic orbit practice directly to increase the chi flow to the orbit, but yes. What foods do I recommend from recovery? I'm guessing you're saying ejaculation recovery. I made a video on this, but a quick overview. Maca root, goji berries, black sesame seeds, pumpkin seeds. These are loaded with important minerals, vitamins for sexual energy replenishment. There's more things you can take too, but that's a quick list. You want zinc, magnesium, boron. What's the other one? Zinc, magnesium, boron. There's another one that's important. I forget. The minerals. Have I ever watched Wim Hof? Yes, I have watched Wim Hof. I've done Wim Hof methods. Can women benefit from the practices you teach? If not, can you recommend a teacher for women? Yes, women definitely benefit from these practices as well. My partner Mariah and I have actually created a course for women because the practices are quite similar. Emotional clearing practices, working with the body's energy channels. For women, though, the focus is on learning to lessen the intensity of menstruation, which can deplete women's energy, being able to use practices to clear negative emotions, clear traumas without having to use the physical resources of the body, the blood, to clear that from the body. Who is your teacher of couples practices? I've studied with many different teachers. Studied with Michael Wynn, who was one of Montauk Chia's first students. I studied with Lauren Johnson, who's a senior healing Tao instructor. I studied with Mika DeVos, Karen Deal. Who else? A few other people. I'm kind of blanking right now. But yeah, those were some of my main teachers. Did I ever struggle with toxic anxiety, panic syndrome, depression, etc.? If yes, what did you do to overcome it? Yeah, I had a lot of anxiety and depression in my teenage years, my early 20s. And which is one of the things that led me into this path I'm on now, was like, okay, I'm really unhappy with my life. I'm unhappy with the views society has on how I should be spending my time and things like that, right? I was just really unfulfilled. And, I tended to have this anxiety and this depression. Cleaning up my diet, stop eating toxic products. Our foods are laced with chemicals, poisons, all kinds of things. So eat organic. Don't eat things out of boxes. Avoid it if you can. Create natural foods, not processed foods. Clean water. Detox your body. Detox the fluoride from your body. Clean drinking water that's not fluoridated, not chlorinated. Try to cleanse heavy metals from your body. And then also meditation, internal energy practices. Because when you're experiencing these disruptions, we could say, in your psyche, your being, it's often an energetic blockage at some point. Simple as, we have these meridian systems in our bodies, the flow of energy. It's meant to be free flowing. When we're children, our channels are wide open. We feel in the flow. We're in the moment. But as we become adults, we become very rigid because of our, traumas, experiences. We start to try to impress everyone around us, and we get constrictions in our energy channels, and they can manifest as all kinds of problems. So doing Qigong, yoga, breathwork, meditation helps you to clear these blockages from your body and get high naturally and feel good. Also spending time in nature, because our bodies are meant to be interacting with the forces of nature. But most of us are living in these steel boxes. What are we interacting with? We're interacting with electronics, these synthetic frequencies, right? Wi-Fi waves, 5G moving through our bodies. It's very, very, very disruptive to our health. So get out in nature, practice Qigong, meditate, cleanse your body, and you will be surprised at the immense changes that happen within you. So long-winded answer, but I think it's important. So yeah, I completely overcame my depression and anxiety of my teenage years and early 20s by having a practice, connecting with nature, and eating clean. Is it placebo that when I retain, I see physical changes such as sharper eyes, better skin? I also see people giving me more respect and also staring at me from a far distance. I mean, this is what happens when you build up your sexual energy. Physical changes because the body's no longer putting all of its resources into creating more sperm. So yes, your skin gets brighter, you look younger, you look healthier, your face glows, and people react to you differently because your energy field becomes charged with this expansive sexual energy. What do you think about having multiple wives? Whatever works for you, it's fine. Again, the question for me isn't like, is it right or wrong to be in polyamory, or, it's whatever works for you. There's no real morality issue for me here. Again, the only issue that arises with multiple partners is, can you process all of their emotions, all of their baggage that they have, right? And stay balanced. It's like, can you do that? If not, you're just creating a lot of work for yourself and it can throw you off, but whatever works for you, it's fine. How do you maintain your erection when you're drawing the energy away with the big draw? So the big draw is a technique where you kind of forcibly suck the sexual energy up your body. I don't use the big draw technique now very much, but yeah, one of the things that happens is when you draw all the sexual energy upwards in your body, you lose your erection because it's pulled out of your genitals. So it then becomes, more of having you can also just create some sexual stimulation to get your erection back. But if you're unable to do that, you can draw less intensely, focus more on relaxing your body instead of forcing all the sexual energy up gradually pull up part of the energy upwards as you're having sex. So more of an effortless, using the mind to guide the sexual energy upwards instead of forcibly drawing it upwards. Okay, Matthew. Second anniversary of my first Qigong session with your videos. It's been one of the best things I've started in life. Awesome. Glad to hear that you've been at it for 2 years and that you're seeing the benefit. Yeah, Qigong was completely life-changing for me. It's amazing. It gets me high. I do it every day. I've been doing it every day for 7 years. So glad to hear that you're enjoying it. Keep on going. It just keeps getting better. Should we place the tongue to the roof of the mouth to bring the energy down? Yeah, if you're trying to pull energy down from your head down the front channel, yes, you should place your tongue against the roof of your mouth. What's your current morning and evening routine look like nowadays? Keep up the great work. My morning routine, I get up and I take a shower, drink some water, and my practice, I do about 20 minutes of stretching and warm-up practices, and then I begin my Qigong practice. I do about 30 minutes of Zhanzhuan, so standing meditation, Qigong practice, holding postures that energize, charge, channel energy through my body. Get super charged up with that for 30 minutes of that. Then I do 15 minutes of either a moving Qigong form or I'll do my Tai Chi form, which takes about 15 minutes, which charges me up even more. And then I sit and do a meditation for about 40 minutes to an hour. So that's my morning routine. My evening routine, right now I'm doing, I'll either do like Tai Chi or Xingyi or Bagua or all of them together, just some other energy cultivation practices. Sometimes I do another meditation in the evening as well. Can you buy maca root cheap? Oh, where can you buy maca root? I bought some capsules, but you can buy it raw by chance. Yeah, I don't recommend buying maca in capsule form because it's usually very overpriced that way. It's much more efficient to buy the powder, the gelatinized powder is what I get, red maca root. I get it for, I don't remember how much it is. I think it's like 2 pounds for $15 to $20 or something like that, maybe $30. So I usually get mine online. Thoughts on L-Arginine? Yeah, arginine is a very important amino acid. It's a precursor to nitric oxide, which is what dilates the blood vessels and allows for greater blood flow. So you want to have plenty of arginine in your diet, just in general for physical fitness, but especially for erection health. So you can eat foods that are rich in L-Arginine. Watermelon's a good source. You can also take L-Arginine directly. So yeah, there's also L-citrulline, which is a precursor to L-Arginine. So you take it and the body converts it into arginine and then converts that into nitric oxide. Some people say that's more effective. I actually take a supplement that has both of them in it. I combine reverse Kegels with testicle breathing and it works great. I've noticed an increase in my size, but I'm not sure if this is why. Do you think it's because of the reverse Kegels, the testicle breath? Yeah, so you can totally do reverse Kegels with testicle breathing. In fact, that's how I use it during sexual cultivation often. As far as the increase, losing my Instagram connection. As far as the increase in size, it could be from a variety of causes. Is semen retention a good method of birth control, especially if the woman is not ovulating and you aren't using condoms? It's been my method of birth control, primarily semen retention and awareness of my partner's cycle. So yeah, when she's ovulating, then we use a condom. But other than that, just rely on semen retention. So obviously, be as cautious as you feel is necessary. If unwanted pregnancy is not something you desire, then be very, very careful. I'm not saying that this is going to work for everyone. But it's what I, because I've developed a very good connection with my body. I know when any sperm's coming out basically, and it hasn't been an issue for me. Just don't come inside. Well, the thing is that, what happens is when you get close to the point of no return, sometimes you don't realize it, but these small spasms happen in your prostate. Oh, sorry. When you get close to the point of no return, sometimes there's these very small spasms that happen in your prostate and you actually eject some semen, and it's not a full ejaculation, so you may not think that anything's happened, but this can impregnate a woman. So that's why you have to be very, very careful with this. Do you have a technique or meditation that can help finding a soulmate? I've learned one a few years ago that a pillar of light from your heart joins that special person and I start to meet. So finding a soulmate, finding a partner. First of all, I don't recommend being super obsessive about it. If you're like, this desperation, I need this person in my life, then that's kind of energy you're going to attract, and it doesn't always work out. So don't obsess about it too much. Learn to love yourself, learn to accept where you are in your life and not feel like you need anything externally, right? But when you do want to draw a partner into your life, just as any manifestation practice, take some time to get into a meditative state and see the person you want to be with. You can take some time and okay, what kind of person you want to be with? Write down the qualities that they have. Also ask yourself, can I match these qualities within myself? Am I a good fit? Am I an energetic match for this person? Because you always attract that which you are. But so sit and get into a meditative state and connect with your heart. So you sink your awareness into your heart space. Feel love, feel gratitude, feel appreciation, compassion. That activates the heart field, which is 50 times stronger than the brain. And then see yourself with this person. You don't have to see their face clearly, but just feel that quality of you've met this person and feel that connection, that appreciation of it. Feel like it's happening right now in the present moment, and just do that every day. And then go about your life, act on inspiration as you feel it. Okay. Can PMO, so this means basically masturbating to porn, can this cause acne and hormone imbalance? I've been addicted since 12 and now I'm 24. When can I stop? My acne reduces. So there's a lot of factors to having acne. Hormones are important. So yes, excessive ejaculation can throw off your hormone levels and that may be affecting your acne. So trying to reduce the amount of ejaculations you're having, but there's also other factors like the foods you're eating. Are you stressed? Are you getting enough sleep? Do you spend time in nature? Are you living a holistic balance? Are you taking care of yourself, basically, right? There's a lot of factors to this. Semen retention isn't like the end all be all to everything. It's just one part of a holistic lifestyle. Okay. So because I said a man and a woman exchange their karma and energy while sleeping together, my question is how to get rid of unwilled energy after sleeping, for example, with an escort. It's not always possible to do this. It takes a very, again, when you have sex with someone, it's such a deep, intimate exchange that often it's never broken. You're still connected with that person in some level for the rest of your life. This is what happens. And again, I'm not saying it's good or bad. It's just, it is what it is. So being aware of this, there are certain clearing techniques, kind of cord cutting techniques, but again, it's usually not something that's going to happen overnight. If you slept with a person, you've absorbed very deep imprints, and it's just, it's not easy to clear these things. So that's why it's just in the first place better just to be aware who you're connecting with and only connecting with people who you resonate with. Okay, this kind of is relevant to the next question, which is, since you take on aspects of other people's energy you sleep with, how do you afterwards tell which energetic aspect you experience are yours? What's your partner's and how do you deal with them? So this is the important part about having some sort of daily meditation practice, internal practice, right? Is because you get to know what your baseline is. You're like, okay, this is how I feel normally. I feel good. I feel confident. I feel in the flow. This is my normal state. It's my baseline, right? High energy, feeling good, feeling happy, right? Most people are so distracted. They're so out of balance that their baseline is, it's all over the place. So it becomes very difficult to discern what's actually affecting them in different levels. But once you do kind of identify this baseline for yourself, then you start to know, okay, I'm starting to feel this weird, this fear, this certain anxiety, or this certain emotional quality that I don't normally feel. Maybe this is coming from that other person, right? And when you develop, your intuition and your energetic skills, you become much, much more aware when you take it on something from someone else. Tips to rebuild energy after a relapse. I have a video on my YouTube channel specifically about how to recover from ejaculation quickly, but basically rest, do some Qigong, especially some like lower Tien building practices that helps to build more Jing down there, which improves your sexual energy. Eat some goji berries, some pumpkin seeds, black sesame seeds, maca, take some zinc, some iron, or zinc, magnesium, boron, selenium. That's the other one that I forgot earlier. What's your semen retention streak? I don't keep track of how long I'm going on semen retention, honestly. I did I was obsessed with that in the early days. Like most people doing semen retention is like, oh, I'm on day 51. It's like, it becomes this ego trip. You're like, oh, I went 100 days, but I'm so much better than you. You know what I mean? It's like, for me, the goal, I don't practice semen retention because I'm trying to go this many days or that many days. My intention isn't like, I'm not ejaculating, I'm never ejaculating. My intention is simply, I'm using my sexual energy in more productive ways, more holistic ways. I'm concentrating on circulating it through my body, using the most of it. It's like, it's a difference between being overly obsessed about something versus having a balanced relationship with something. It's just kind of, so I don't count how many days, During Tien meditation and also testicle breathing, I felt a pulsation in my lower belly. What does it mean? It's probably your Tien that you're feeling. The Tien, when you start building it, it starts to become very tangible. For me, it started to feel like this electrical heat or this like pulsation, this bubbling in my belly center. Sometimes it feels like a cramping or like a pulsation you're feeling. So you're probably just feeling a very subtle aspect of the lower Tien. So starting to get smart with it. So it's good. What do you think about porn? Is it bad in general, or is it okay if we try to enjoy that experience consciously? For me personally, again, I'm not telling everyone what to do. You can do whatever you want. If you want to watch porn, watch porn. But for me personally, it completely throws me off. I get absolutely nothing beneficial from watching porn. I was experimenting with different things as I started practicing semen retention and non-ejaculatory sexual experiences. It was like, well, maybe I can like watch porn and use that to like inspire my own sexual practice, because I'm not going to ejaculate at the end. But it just creates this weird, it gives me a headache, honestly, like this false heat. I mean, you're becoming aroused and connecting to these porn images. Visual stimulation is often extremely overstimulating, right? When you're so focused on what's happening visually, it pulls you up into your head. It's very, very difficult to control your sexual energy and connect with your body when you're up here in your head. So I personally see no benefit to watching porn. So I simply don't. Whatever works for you, it's fine. But I don't personally recommend watching porn. Is it possible for someone to be spiritual if they live in the city? It's snowing hard right now. There's hardly ever sunlight. I work 10 hours a day. Yes, you can be spiritual. You can be spiritual anywhere. The key is how do you integrate a spiritual practice into your busy life? How do you find 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes a day to meditate, right? And this is kind of the challenge of those of us on Earth right now, kind of in the front lines in this deep esoteric war that's going on. There's a full-on war happening on this planet. It's a spiritual war. It's in our technology. It's in the media. It's very subtle. But when you understand what in the esoteric level what's happening, you see the war every time you turn on the television. It's everywhere, right? It's a war on our consciousness. It's a war for our beliefs. People are under hypnosis by their television screens, these black mirrors that are projecting images at a certain frequency that is literally hypnotizing you. You start to believe anything that comes out of this, right? So the challenge for us in the modern world is like, it's easy to become enlightened and to live the spiritual path when you're a monk living in a monastery. You have absolutely no distractions. You just have you're meditating all day, you're doing the practice all day. It's easy. But the challenge for us is, how do we live busy lives in the city, working a job, having a family, providing for people, and at the same time, keeping yourself woke on some level, we could say, right? Keeping your energy in balance. And when you can do that, you're a true Jedi, you're a true master, right? And so it just comes down to having a practice, having a way to manage your energy, a way to manage your consciousness, to keep yourself balanced and connected to your source. How do you do that? For me, it's practicing meditation, Qigong, Tai Chi, spending time in nature. You know, I can do that and then come back to the busyness of living in the city and stay balanced and enjoy the process. And when you're able to hold that field, you're holding you become an anchor for light in the kind of the grid you're in, the city that you're placed in. When you can hold these high levels of light consciousness by doing your self work, by keeping yourself on high vibe state, you start to lift up the consciousness of the world around you, right? It's like when you bring a candle into a dark room, it lights up the room. It only takes a small amount of light to light up a room. And it's up to us to be that light. What is OHAS? My understanding is, I haven't studied the Hindu system in depth, but OHAS is the equivalent of Jing in Taoist terminology. It's like your physical essence. It's like this vital energy, which is kind of underlying everything else. So very much related to your sexual energy, which is kind of this raw, crude energy, but it's very, very powerful. And you can refine that energy into something more useful. You can refine into Qi, into Shen, into pure energy, into spirit. And this is kind of what alchemy is all about. Is less morning wood a sign of energy being circulated instead of being stagnant? It depends. It can also be a sign of low testosterone, lower energy. You're not getting enough sleep. You're too stressed. Having the erection in the morning is really a sign of strong vitality, strong sexual vitality. So if you're not experiencing morning erections, then it can be a sign of less sexual vitality, basically. Tips on lasting longer. Well, take my free ejaculation control course. There's a link in my Instagram bio. It's on my YouTube videos, and use those techniques, train with them to develop your ejaculation control. But basically the most simple thing is to bring more consciousness to your body and do deep abdominal breathing, deep relaxed abdominal breathing during sex. Because when you're so much focused on all the stimulation out here, you're looking at your partner, all this visual stimulation, the sounds they're making, you kind of forget about what you're doing physically, and you start to tense up, your breath becomes shallow, you lose control of your energy, you ejaculate, the fight or flight sympathetic response, right? So deep, slow belly breathing is the easiest way. It gives you something to focus your mind on, helps you to calm down your nervous system so you stay in that parasympathetic state and avoid the ejaculation response. So as you're having sex, practice by yourself first, so you know how to actually do it before you're jumping in the ring, so to speak, right? But your primary focus becomes sustaining this deep, smooth belly breathing. And that's the kind of the foundation for sexual ability, ejaculation control. Who are the dark forces you speak of? Yeah, so, I dive into esoteric subjects on my videos, and we'll just say that for every yin, there's a yang. There's opposing forces on this planet. There's the light and there's the darkness. And as I said, we're in this huge war of consciousness. For thousands of years, this planet has been controlled by dark forces. They control the banking systems, the governments, the religions. It goes much beyond ancient Egypt, but it was a big start, was in ancient Egypt, the pharaohs, right? The priesthood that basically, they said, oh, we're connected to the gods, right? If you want to go to the afterlife, if you want to have favor with the gods, you have to pay us money. So like they started to get all this power by manipulating people in this way. And this is something that carried on, these different bloodlines, these powerful beings that maybe didn't originate on this planet that are controlling us through our media, through our financial systems. The rabbit hole goes very, very deep. And, I'm not going to too much into that right now, but yeah. But we're in a time where the light on the planet is starting to increase. So the dark forces are actually starting to lose, which is why things are getting so crazy on the planet right now. It's kind of a last desperate attempt to control us, but it's not working. What are the benefits of edging? I love how we go from like rabbit hole esoteric metaphysical stuff to like, let's talk about my dick. It's funny. So okay, edging, which is basically usually you're masturbating and you're getting close to the point of ejaculation, but you're not quite hitting it. You don't ejaculate. The benefits of edging, well, it can either be a beneficial practice or actually a harmful practice. It's harmful if you have no skill working with your sexual energy. Basically, you just build up a lot of arousal, you build up a lot of pressure, and it never really gets resolved. And maybe the next time you go to have sex, you're ready to explode because you have all this buildup. But the benefits of it can be you learn how to manage your sexual energy. You learn to understand your arousal response, how you respond to sexual stimulation. You can use edging as a tool to learn to last longer in bed. It's kind of the sexual kung fu way is first you train yourself, get to know your arousal response, get to know how to work with your own sexual energy, move it through your body, learn how to control your ejaculation that way. And then you have much more skill to integrate that into a partner. How long on average do you think it takes to notice some degree of physical changes from retaining the seed? Well, physical changes, I don't know, it's difficult to say. For some men, it's a few days, for some men, weeks or months. But for me, it was like, I noticed immediately the first time I went, even just a few days without ejaculating, it was like, wow, I feel a lot more energy. I feel a lot more just fire, a lot more desire, a lot more masculine energy. So it didn't take long at all for me to notice those changes. I heard someone say lately that working on the microcosmic orbit without the guidance of a proper master can be dangerous. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, there's some truth to this, but overall, the microcosmic orbit, you're usually not going to have enough energetic skill and power to do any harm to yourself by using the microcosmic orbit. And I think it's also relevant to say that right now, the times that we're living in, it's dangerous to be alive on this planet right now. It's dangerous to walk down the street, under the cell phone towers and things like that, right? Our food is poisoned, our air is poisoned, our water is poisoned, our media is poisoned, our wife, we're getting bombarded with stuff. So any energetic practice is going to only benefit you at this time, even if there's potential little side effects from it. It's a much different context from like some people living in a village in ancient China versus right now being on planet Earth, in 2021. It's a battlefield, this planet right now. So I don't think you're going to hurt yourself trying to work with the microcosmic orbit. I don't know if you guys can hear, my neighbor likes to work with power tools. He's sawing something right now. Blueberry Trendy, I didn't see any questions from you, so try typing it again. Sometimes questions don't show up. I don't know why. There's something to release pelvic floor pain, please. Well, if you're experiencing pain, you're experiencing chronic issues in your body, you definitely want to see a specialist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not qualified to give you medical advice. But, pelvic floor tension is a common issue for men. It can also be your prostate, though. Like you really want to keep an eye on this and not just ask some random person on the internet about this. You want to see a specialist about this if it's really concerning you. But for like low level kind of tissue muscular stuff, sitting on a tennis ball under the perineum. So you place it under the soft area of the perineum between the genitals and the anus, sit on the tennis ball for a few minutes, give yourself an acupressure massage there. That can be helpful. Does semen retention help keep the C word, the certain thing that's spreading around right now that people are scared of and locking down the world over? Does semen retention keep this away? All right, so first of all, overall semen retention, yes, it boosts your immune system, but it's important to understand that this thing, the actual death statistics, it's less than like 0.2%. It's, but if you're worried about it, take your zinc, retain your semen, oregano oil, natural antibiotic, colloidal silver, powerful antiviral, keep yourself healthy. You'll be fine. Any tips on how to change your body's sleep cycle to fall asleep earlier than you're used to? if you're used to waking late. So you're trying to change your sleep routine, so you want to go to bed earlier. Just start gradually going to bed, like maybe 15 minutes earlier, 20, 30 minutes earlier, just gradually going to bed earlier and earlier to change that. Or you can also just like wake up really, really early one morning, set your alarm for 5 a.m. and do like some intense physical exercise, do like some sprinting, some cardio, and you'll be ready to go to bed early that night. What practices would you recommend in transforming any negative karmas that may still linger from unhealthy sexual behaviors in the past? So yeah, just clearing out these past connections and things. Overall, Qigong is an incredible practice that helps to restructure your energy flow, clear some blockages, clear some entanglements, practicing meditation. I have a clearing practice on my YouTube. I think it's called How to Clear Your Energy Field. That's a great kind of simple method that you can work with. What's my favorite Qigong posture? Mine is constant bear. I don't really have a favorite posture because it's not the physical postures that make Qigong powerful. You can have a person who's doing this posture and the other person is doing the same posture, but internally one of them's not activating the internal energy, and it's a completely different practice. That's the thing with Qigong and really Tai Chi, all these internal arts. It's not the physical postures. It's not the actual movement. It's the intentions, the yi. It's the mind engaged in the body. It's the sinking of the qi, releasing all tension, activating the Tien, connecting all the arms, the legs into one cohesive unit, sinking into the earth, connecting with the earth, the Peng Qi filling the body. That's what makes it powerful. And it doesn't matter what position you're in, you can engage the qi in any way. The physical forms of Qigong, the postures, are kind of like training tools so you understand how to actually engage the qi. And once you get that, it doesn't matter what you're doing. I'm doing Qigong as I'm walking down the street. I'm driving around my car, my Dantian's lit, I'm running my orbit. Like, I can do this stuff 24/7, no matter what my physical alignment is, whether it looks like I'm doing a physical practice, postures and things, right? If you want to learn more how to get to those levels of it, check out my Immortal Energy Arts online academy, immortalenergyarts.com. It's an in-depth training on how to get to much higher levels of energy cultivation. Am I vegan? No, I'm not vegan. I did the vegan thing for a while and it just wasn't beneficial for me. When retaining, how do you know to stop if you can't achieve full body or a regular orgasm? I mean, how do you know when to stop having sex? Like, how to stop what? How do you beat the flat line faster? It's been 58 days on retention. It's been since day 5. Well, this flatline thing people talk about, I didn't ever really experience this myself during retention. I will say I have my up and downs in life. There's days where I'm not as on it, but you have to really look at other factors of your life. This isn't all, again, semen retention is not a be all fix all for everything. Maybe you're not eating well. Maybe you're not getting enough sleep. Maybe you're distracting yourself, on social media all day, looking at a computer screen all day, distorting your energy field in that manner. So make sure your diet's right, meditate, do internal energy practices, go to the gym, work out. If you can go to the gym, work out at home, whatever. Spend time in nature, and then see how you feel, right? It isn't all just about semen retention. It's about having a holistic lifestyle, managing your energy field. How to prevent nightfall. So wet dreams, nocturnal emissions. It seems to be inevitable for a lot of men after a certain period of time. So don't obsess over too much. Sometimes it's just your body telling you, hey, we actually need to release this old fluid at some point, right? But overall, if it's if it's happening like really often, then yeah, it can be concerning. So the most common causes are incompletions of sexual desire. So like you're fantasizing, you're having sexual thoughts, and it's kind of arousing you, but this energy is not really reaching a completion. And it just builds up and you go to sleep at night and your body says, hey, he's asleep. Let's have an orgasm. And you do. So meditation, microcosmic orbit, to transmute those sexual desires and bring them into completion by transforming the form of that sexual energy. That's primary, right? Having that meditation practice, stilling your energy, stilling the jing down into the lower dantian. Avoiding getting really hot in the middle of the night. I found that was the most common issue for me when I was having wet dreams, was getting too hot at night, like sleeping with a heavy blanket or something like that. So be aware of that. Or eating too close to bed. Can semen retention lead to any fertility issues later in life? You know, I don't 100% know this, honestly. Again, this is as much as I promote semen retention, all this stuff, it still is kind of experimental. But I will say that, you know, one of my teachers, Michael Wynn, he claimed to have gone like decades without ejaculating, and he had a child in his 60s. So, which, you know, is, a lot of men are supposed to be infertile by then, right? But he had a very, very healthy child when he was like, you know, in his 60s. So I think you can keep yourself healthy if you keep your sexual energy balanced, keep your body balanced, and don't neglect your genitals. See, that's the mistake a lot of people make, is like, oh, I just can't touch my penis ever again. Use it or lose it. Keep your endocrine system healthy. Your genitals are the root of your endocrine system. To finish means ejaculating. So if retaining means to not do that, and if you can't achieve an orgasm, when do you stop? Okay, so yeah, a good question is like, when you're having non-ejaculatory sex, when do you stop? You stop whenever you want to. What I find is, you know, when I'm with my partner, often there's just kind of a sense of completion. Maybe she's had an orgasm or several orgasms and just kind of feel like, okay, I think we're satisfied with this. We may like communicate like, hey, do you want any, you know, do you want to keep doing this? Or we'll wind down in kind of a passive connection where we usually end by just kind of passively meditating together, exchanging the sexual energy through our connected bodies. So it's really like, when do you want to stop? You know, Zenny, I don't think I saw your question. Try typing it in again. Hi, I'm 19 years old. Do you think semen retention causes acne? No, I don't think it causes acne. When I started practicing semen retention, I didn't really experience acne anymore. And it was never a huge issue for me. The biggest thing for me was changing my diet. You know, I used to have acne in my teenage years, but changing my diet was the biggest factor in that for me personally. All right, guys, I'm going to jump off now. I've got an interview with my brother from Australia, Cam Fraser. So I will see you guys soon. Have a good weekend. Have a great rest of your week. Yeah, I think that's it. Take care, guys, and keep it real. I'll see you next week. Same time.